funny you should mention people hopping into the breach, legally speaking. And this is something that came out decades ago. But I believe this is in Baltimore, Maryland. And Vincent Kennedy McMahon, Linda McMahon, WWE, TKO Group are all being sued on behalf of 5 survivors of sexual abuse. The survivors, John Doe's 1 to 5, none of them want to be mentioned there, were known within WWE as ring boys. Underage boys hired by the organization's ringside announcer and ring crew chief, Melvin Phillips Jr., to assist with errands and other tasks in preparation for WWE's wrestling shows. The underage ring boys were groomed, exploited, and sexually abused by Phillips, who targeted children from broken homes. His assaults occurred not only at the wrestling venues, but also in hotel rooms and other locations where Phillips would shuttle the boys in plain sight. Defendants were fully aware of the systematic and pervasive abuse and did nothing to prevent or stop it. The FBI previously identified at least 10 ring boys abused by Phillips, but there are likely countless others who have suffered in silence for decades. Now, this has been something that's been going on since it's been public since the early 90s. What do you think of this lawsuit now? Because I believe in Maryland there's been a moratorium on historical abuse cases like this, where you can then pursue them, civilly.
So they kicked out. They've actually outlawed the statute of limitations on this, for this, I think.
Not just for this. There's been a moratorium for all these sorts of cases, and the ring boys, as they are known, have sourced I want to say solicitors, but that's a local, a legal firm who specialise in these cases. Levitt and Murphy and Falcon and Murphy. So
that's another out of court settlement. They will come to a figure, say, guys, we'll give you this, take your suit back, and let's continue on. And I think every one of them will accept that if they get millions and millions of dollars. That Vince has, by the way. I don't know how WWE is going to be brought into this, but I think they'll get a nice settlement. I think everything will be just swept under the rug, and it'll go away.
What did you think about that when that first broke in the 90s? Because this was like on Donahue and all the tabloid talk shows and the news, and it was a pretty big deal, and it was one of the reasons that really hastened the decline of the popularity of wrestling in the early 90s. Where were you? Were you USWA or Puerto Rico or WCW at the time when you first heard this? And what did you make of this? Did it ring true to you?
Oh, it rang true, because if you're in wrestling, you're going to hear about Vince. I don't care where you were working, somebody is going to filter down the rumors. And of course, you're getting half of the information, half info, half rumor. But yeah, I heard about it. Everybody heard about it. I wasn't there then. I didn't get there to 95.
Yep.
96. And I think Mel Phillips wasn't there when I was there. I never met him.
Mm-hmm.
So, and they thought they had gotten rid of it, I guess. But yes, I knew about it. Everybody knew about it.
Were you aware of the extent of Mel Phillips' predatory behaviour? Because in the suit, I hate to say I've not read the full suit. I've got the highlights or the lowlights, as it were. And one of them was that not only was he courting young boys at shows, he was actually prowling the streets, just looking for young lads playing baseball in the streets or in a park or something, and saying, hey, I'm so-and-so from the WWF, I bet you're all big wrestling fans, would you know what I mean? It's these kids are 12, 13, 14, and the most famous ring boy was Tom Cole, who I believe is no longer with us. I believe, I'm quite sure about that. His brother Lee Cole does a podcast sort of in his memory, I guess, now. And I think he watches the show. But he made some terrible accusations, and now they've really been backed up for nearly a dozen more. And there are many more out there that Mel Phillips, a foot fetishist, I believe he was, not in a more harmless Tony Atlas way. It's crazy.
The Tony Atlas thing made me laugh a little bit. But Lee Cole, I'm sorry about what happened to your brother, and my apologies for whatever that means. But anybody that's been harmed by this, it's not funny. It's a sad state of affairs. But I think Tom Cole, let's throw him in there. This settlement or this suit, does that include Tom Cole, even though he's moved on?
Well, we don't know John Doe's 1 to 5. We don't know if he's named.
Okay, but I think he should be if he was. And you say Lee Cole has a podcast?
I believe so. Yeah, I don't know what it's called. I'm sorry. It might be. I don't know. I don't want to have a hazard a guess, but he is out there talking about it as well. So that being said, yeah, Mel Phillips. I mean, of all the oddballs you've met in pro wrestling, I know you never met him, but I mean that's got to be among the top of just the sort of most deviant of behaviour.
Well, I've seen some deviant behavior in the wrestling business, believe me. But see, the wrestling business is a microcosm of American society. You have some guys, you have guys like that, and you have gay guys, and you have this guys, and those people, and so it's no different than regular society. But it's only to where we hold their feet to the fire and say, hey, if you get caught, we're going to punish you. Because to make anything stick, if I was a defense attorney, which I suggested earlier, that you know, and you said you studied law, you got to make it personal. See, Tom Cole to me is a name. I didn't know Tom Cole. I don't know Lee Cole. But if that had been my brother or my son or my cousin, you know, I would take more of an interest in it because now it's personal and I may have seen or saw what it did to him. So if you can make that, it's like in any criminal case, if you can make it personal and make every juror, you know, make it personal to them, then you may have a verdict that you can live with.
Yeah, he's wrestling with the devil with Lee Cole. I'm really plugging this podcast, but there you go. There's a free plug for you there, fella. And the lawsuit essentially stems from the idea that Vince McMahon and WWE knew far more than what they were letting on at the time, as far as the abuse. And quite frankly, a lot of the wrestlers heard rumblings, and you know, there's nothing concrete. Apparently, the FBI back in the early '90s actually had a very telling video of Mel Phillips playing with one of the kids' feet, or just being too overly friendly with these like prepubescent or just barely pubescent boys as well. But it wasn't proof enough. It could have been interpreted a different way, or just roughhousing or being overly friendly, and not of a sexual nature. So it's never went, and he never got arrested. I believe he never got tried. So he sort of got away with it scot-free in that sense. We're going to move on.
Phillips, is he still alive?
Oh, he's brown bread, that guy. He's dead as you like. And good riddance.